Oh,
Good
there it is.
morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Jen. I'm really good this morning. How are you today?
I'm good. I promise. I say this all the time, you guys. I think it's because I am a really emotional person, and some of you don't know me like that because I don't always share it. But today we're talking about Black History Month, and of course we are a real estate show. So I am like on the edge of my seat all the time with this topic. And just so you know, we do have a comment already. Can't wait to hear
Good
your
morning.
conversations this morning from
Good
Glenn
morning,
Daniel.
Glenn.
This is
Thank
a topic that I think we need to talk about absolutely more. But here we are, the morning carbo load of real estate. I'm
No
Jen
song.
Codis.
No song?
Oh, no, I can't. I'm like, my voice is like in my throat.
Okay. I know. He's already emotional. Good morning. Well, what are we talking about this morning? People don't know why you're being
Black
emotional.
History Month.
It's Black History Month, starting today.
Yes,
Okay,
starting today. Okay. And when it comes to housing, this is something that I'm very passionate about. I feel like a lot of people are uneducated about the biases that are systematized in our country. And I really want to talk about there's a couple of things. That I really want to talk about. Okay. I'm just going to list them. And I know
okay.
I'm an economic person, right? I love economics. I believe that there are reparations that need to be made in the African American community. There's a huge belief that we don't need to make reparations, but there is. I wrote notes like, um, okay, number one, right? There is um, racial disparity as it relates to like wealth building certainly didn't end with slavery. There was the Homestead Act, which we aren't going to talk about all this stuff, okay? There's the GI Bill, there's a system of sharecropping, there's a system of Jim Crow, and there's a system now we have credit, where we're buying things with money that we don't have, right? What's that famous quote everybody like tries to say they invented it? Spend money on things we don't have, to buy things that we don't need, to impress people that don't care about us,
I don't know that I've actually ever heard that before.
Oh, everybody has tried to coin that. Like everybody, if you look up that quote, everybody claims that they invented it. I honestly don't know who really invented it. But and I think it's been exacerbated with reality TV and things like that,
Oh,
and our media, which by the way, you guys, the media is owned by certain people, like the 1%. Like whoever owns the press makes the media decisions. Okay. So I don't trust media. What I trust is like the individuals in my neighborhood that I see that need help, and the numbers and the statistics within it. So
speaking of the media, just for 1 second, I didn't know this until you don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? But there was a little blurb, and it was about, all the media across the whole country saying the same thing. And till one day they showed it, and they showed all these newscasts, and it was like a little 5-word sentence, and every news show was saying the same exact thing. And I had no idea it was
well,
like
they
that.
coin phrases. That's especially what they do,
But talk about bias, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, if you are a Bible reader out there, then you guys should already know about the Matthew effect, right? The Matthew effect is essentially exponential GDP, like onwards and upwards, the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. That's the Matthew effect. It's in the Bible, right? So,
I did not know that because I am not a Bible reader
but
personally.
you went to Catholic school.
That's completely irrelevant. That doesn't mean I studied the Bible.
There's a huge disparity, and it's not getting any better. It's actually getting a lot worse, and doubly so with the pandemic, right? And the effects of it all. I mean, there was on TV the other day, my sister and I were talking about it. There was like a roundtable of celebrities that had all gotten the
Shot.
the vaccine. And, they can, celebrities. They get to pay for it out of pocket. Like, that's just the thing. Like if you have the money, you have unlimited opportunities. And meanwhile, the people that need it the most, the ones that can't work, they're on assistance, that are high risk, are at, they have to wait their turn in line. And there was on TV, I don't remember what this show was. My sister and I were talking about it, confronted them. Like, why the hell did you get this first? So.
Did they have an answer? I doubt it.
Oh, of course not. It's the slimery, slippery answering questions with questions, like, how do you think I got it type deal? But, so I wanted to talk a little bit about housing and Black history and housing. Everybody remembers the building of 94, right? Where it tore down neighborhoods in North Minneapolis, in South Minneapolis, in St. Paul, Rondo, the entire neighborhood that went down. These are all primarily African-American communities. And one of the things that I really like to talk about is reparations and the things that we can do now to make things right. And a lot of people have some conflicting opinions about it, about the expense of it, thinking that we're just giving free handouts. And I don't think that that's it at all. But we can look at the systematic system of everything and look at this and say, okay, something needs to happen, right? So I'm going to put a ton of resources, you guys, into the comments here. But one of the big things that I saw last week, and one of the excellent things I want to talk about is, I'm going to share my screen, is Biden decided to decree the U.S. DOT's destruction of Black communities, right? And so hopefully they can start making some headway on this. Yep, you guys, this came out on the 28th on Thursday. So, and I was reading this, and I mean, I went through all of his executive orders and plans last week because I'm just interested in seeing, how this turn of events is going to play out. It's just me being, what is that word? Masochistic?
Masochistic?
Like when you want to hurt you. Yeah, like sadistic, isn't that when you're mean to other people, but masochistic is when you're mean to yourself?
I think so.
Do I get those mixed up?
I don't.
Anyway, I'm mean to myself because I like to read this stuff and it hurts me on the inside. But this is really interesting, talking about the federal highway interstate highway system that was constructed and just basically disproportionately across the United States destroyed Black and low-income neighborhoods all across the United States. And so this is happening. It's still happening. And this is one of the things that we need to make reparations for, there's so many things that we just oh, okay, this is, rich white people guiding the hands of lawmakers. Okay. Mitch McConnell, right? I love to talk about him.
He's
multi-millionaire who has only ever been a civil servant. His pockets are just,
I think she's going to say deep,
lined with dirty money. There's so many politicians out there like that.
Well,
and I think that
on that, but there needs to be term limits. There just needs to be term limits. We need to get some of these. I was going to say a very bad word, but I should just do it. We need to get some of these old fuckers out of there.
Yeah.
Please, me.
Oh, but okay. So here in Minneapolis and Minnesota, and there are, we're trying so hard to make repairs and things like that. And it is still a very segregated
Oh,
city. There is
Minneapolis
still,
and St.
I
Paul
get
are very
clients.
segregated.
Oh, absolutely. Well, just look at the rental rates from St. Paul to Minneapolis. I mean, there's a reason why St. Paul is old and crumbling and called the dirty side of the river. You know, there's things that come out of people's mouths that I'm shocked by in this city still. And I'm like, do you know what that means? Do you know what you're saying?
Ignorance isn't bliss.
I know, but it's hard to be a caring, loving real estate agent and here we're guided by fair housing laws.
Yes, we are.
Our jobs are. We have ethics things. So some things, this is another thing that we have to talk about is sometimes I don't even know if we're going to get in trouble for talking about this. We shouldn't be getting in trouble for talking about this, but there are people that want to say, oh, I don't want to live in North Minneapolis. And I know exactly what that means, but I can't say I own a house in North Minneapolis.
Why do you say you can't say that?
Because it's considered steering.
If you say I own a house I tell people all the time I live in Robbinsdale.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider that to be steering.
Yeah, I just, there's so many rules about what we can say and what we have to
be very careful. We have to be very careful. So
yeah,
we aren't.
But I feel like that also like guides our hands. That guides. It's we should be allowed to talk about this. I
hosted an open house over the weekend, and somebody came in and they were talking about. I lived in the neighborhood for 28 years, 6 blocks from the house that I was having. And I was saying how great I personally lived there. I love the neighborhood. And I think the issue of safety came up, and I said, I can't discuss safety. I can't discuss safety because I'm guided by the laws of the state that says that I cannot push somebody in or out of a particular area because of safety. The people have to do their own due diligence.
Well, and safety is objective, and I always tell people, I show them the map.
It's subjective.
I think I'm glitching a little, but I show people the map.
But that's okay.
I show people the map and I am like, look at all these violent crimes. And they're like, oh yeah. I was like, did you notice that it's right outside a bar and that these people were probably drunk? You do that? Oh, absolutely. We look at it together. I'm like, come on, people. Like, they're like, oh, look at this bubble. I'm like, yeah, that's a industrial neighborhood. That's a commercial neighborhood. There's restaurants and bars right there. There's drunk people. Yeah. Like, I just, and the fancier neighborhoods, the rich neighborhoods get robbed more. People, oh, I want to live in South Minneapolis or I want to live in Uptown. And I'm like, well, then there's muggings because it's mostly like a commercial, shopping neighborhood. I don't know what to say to people anymore. I'm like, I don't know how people like think or what they want to think anymore. But with this pandemic, are people going, now that we can work from home more, are people going to be moving out to the suburbs? And I think we talked about this too,
that is what we're seeing.
But
at one point we had so many people moving into the city, not even that long ago, we had retirees who really wanted to move into the city. Now, because of the pandemic and people working from home, people are like, we can live anywhere. Why do we need to live in the city? We don't need public transportation in some cases. So we can just work from home and And the further out from the city you go, the less housing is. First ring.
No,
No, the further out you go. Like if you're going an hour
it is
out.
expensive. Not even like I am just like talking about the big ring, the big bubble ring around the city. Yes, there's pockets of affordability, but there are some cities, and I think that we talked about it, have built in zoning rules that do not allow for affordable housing. Affordable meaning like 200,000 or less for,
That doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And so these cities, this is another way, once again, where racial disparity, oh, here we go, already have term limits, we call them elections, right? Totally. I love you.
If we can't have them, then we need more. Yes.
But we've talked about this before, is that we need more actionable people to start going into and voting in local politics, not just these elections for president and stuff, because the affordable housing and the racial disparity can only get taken care of in your own neighborhood via mayoral city council members and these laws that are getting pushed into it, like the minimum house size, lots being sold by the city for $100,000, that's not affordable.
Not affordable at all.
People can't afford a decent car. And in Minnesota, it is not safe to be driving an hour to work in the winter time. Like, it is just plain out not safe and not reasonable. People need to live within the city limits for transportation purposes, for safe transportation purposes. So, so this is Black History Month. We are going to be talking about a plethora of this. We have Financial Fridays where we get to talk about, things that we can do within our own community to help support one another. Some laws and rules and things that are starting to change within the community can do to help make these changes, which I really want to get into politics every time I think about this kind of stuff, or start being that one person in City Hall that starts shaping people and taking up the podium.
You can do that without actually getting into politics. You can go speak.
Right? So you guys, we have tons of this stuff. I'm going to put a bunch of things inside the comment box. You guys, these are resources about the Matthew effect, the US DOT highway system, the pros and cons of reparations, the cultural insights on implicit bias and how we need to have that for our police, because I haven't even brought up what I think of.
There's a lot of topics I think that we're going to be covering.
Things.
You froze a little bit, Jen, but hold on a sec. We're going to be talking a little bit more about this. This isn't just our topic for today.
No. This is we're wrapping it up. But I'm going to start putting some resources in the comment box. And if you guys want to learn more and educate yourselves, I think that is a wonderful place to start.
It is a wonderful place to start.
All right.
Oh, now I can see myself very well.
I was going to say, you guys, don't forget to subscribe to our Morning Muffin page on YouTube. And if you're thinking of buying or selling a home yourself and you resonate with how we talk, how we feel, if you like us and you want to work with us, feel free to give us a call for a consultation. And
or
visit our website.
Yes.
Yes. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow for Town Hall Tuesday.
I'm guessing we're talking about a couple of different cities.
We are. We're talking about Blaine and Woodbury.
Opposite sides of the city.
They are. Those are part of those strip mall suburbs that we're going to have fun talking about.
Strip mall suburbs, that's what they are. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.
Bye.